Welcome back, my creative friends. Today we're going to do a choose your own adventure haunted house painting. We'll go through step by steps all the fun things you can add to create a haunted house picture that is uniquely your own. I'm going to show you 4 different backgrounds and tons of options for your details. So let's get started. The colors you're going to need today are totally up to you. You can choose any color scheme you want. Have several brushes on hand. Let's get started. For this first picture, I'm going to show you a background that is purple to red to orange. So first I'm going to start with my medium flat brush and some orange paint. I'm just going to make a curved line in my sky, making about a 2-inch curved line and filling that space in with orange paint. Then with a small thin strip of red, because if I mix the orange directly with the purple, I'm going to get brown. Pulling some skinny lines of red down into my orange paint. Wash that brush off and everything above it is going to be purple. A little bit of red on my brush, I'm going to blend that purple into my red, just pulling those colors up, brushing some of that red up all the way into my purple. Using a little bit more clean red paint, I'm just going to add some horizontal lines into my purple and pulling some of those down into my red. I can bring them all the way down to my orange, but be careful that I don't mix it too much to brown. A few spots of orange up in my purple and a few spots of purple down into my orange will help bring my whole picture together. Then I'm going to use a little bit of black paint to fill in my ground. You could choose to have a flat ground or a hill. If you've ever painted with me before, you know I love finger painting. A large spot of yellow paint on my finger makes the perfect moon. Now, if you want to add clouds, this is a great time to do it. You can use your medium round brush with a little bit of white paint and just dab the color on. I like the way the purple mixes in with my clouds because it helps me have more of a spooky, eerie kind of look. Remember, I like to keep things in numbers of 3s, so 3 clouds is a great number to put into this picture. My next sky sample is going to have a big hill in the front. So with my medium flat brush, I'm just going to make a big hill and everything below it, fill it in black. With a clean brush and some orange paint, I'm going to make a very large orange circle. This orange circle is going to go just slightly behind my hill, but I want it to be a really big moon. Fill that in with a little bit of yellow in the center and some orange on the edges. Now let's add our sky in. I'm going to fill the entire sky in gray. Then I'll drop some spots of black and white in and smooth those out in horizontal lines left to right to really kind of give my sky an eerie feeling. With some orange paint on my brush, I'm just going to go right back around my moon and kind of clean up those edges just a little bit. Different way to make clouds. My picture's still wet. Just use a little bit of white paint on my clean medium flat brush and pull those lines left to right. I'm trying not to blend it in too much with the background, but it's okay if it does mix a little bit. You can even pull these right over top of your moon and grab a little bit of that orange and yellow from your moon to highlight your clouds. For my next sky option, I'm going to be using blue and yellow. So I'm going to take my medium round brush with some blue paint, and I'm going to make a gigantic circle in the middle of my canvas. Everything outside of that circle, I'm going to paint blue. With some white paint on my brush, I'm going to make some circles around that white circle. I want my moon to look like it's glowing. So just a little bit of white paint and circles around that center circle will help my moon to look like it's glowing. Then, as you probably guessed, we're going to fill in the ground black. Now, you don't have to use black when you're making your own picture. You can use browns or greens, maybe even grays. In fact, in my samples I'm going to show you, I'm going to use different colors besides just black. With my finger with a lot of yellow paint, I'm going to fill in my moon. I think finger painting for moons and suns are the easiest way to make a nice, clean circle. But here's a pro tip. Use a lot of paint on your finger. I'm going to take some white paint on my medium round brush and just add a couple of highlights around my moon. I like to have it look almost like a Van Gogh Starry Night moon. And for my last background idea, I'm going to cover the whole thing with red paint. Some black paint to finish out my bottom, and I'm going to keep that medium flat brush filled with my black paint because I'm going to make a black shadow around the edges of my painting. So with just a little bit of black paint on my brush, in fact, if you've had too much, just wipe it off a little bit, and you're going to start at the edge and you're just going to pull down and gently lift up. This is going to give you a look of a little bit of distress on the outside edges of your painting. So very, very, very little paint on your brush. Pull that color in, and you've got a really unique frame around your picture. Now, when you go to add your moon on there, you know what I'm going to say, right? Of course you do. You're going to grab your finger full of yellow paint, and you're going to make a nice circle for your moon. Some little lines around that moon to help it look like it's glowing. And you've got a great option for your fourth background. If you don't love the idea of a bright yellow moon, you can always add a little bit of white to your finger and smear it in with your yellow. That will dull your moon out just a little bit. So now you have to decide which one of these backgrounds you're going to use. Go ahead and paint your background end, and when we come back, we're going to talk about adding some details to our haunted house. Easier to show you the details using a Sharpie and some paper because there's so many choices. The first thing you want to decide on is your house. This is step number 1. What is your house going to look like? I'm going to show you several different options, and I want you to come up with your own ideas as well as look at some of mine. So most houses you're going to start with are going to start with a square or a rectangle. After that, you're going to want to think about, do I want to add anything next to it or maybe a roof on? So these roofs I'm going to make look like 2 straight lines at the top and bottom and 2 lines that angle in at the sides. Another way you could make a house is make it look a little crazy. Maybe it's tilted. Maybe make 2 of the sides be a little bit more tilted than the top and the bottom. Then I'm going to add my roof on. Same roof as the first one, but this one's going to have a little bit of an angle at the top. My next house is going to have a small building on the left, just a small rectangle, with a larger rectangle that's going to come directly off of it. Oh, better add that roof in before I forget. A little triangle roof on the top of this. And then I'm going to pull this other building up nice and tall and over, and it's going to go behind that first little building. Go ahead and add a roof to this one, and it's finished. As you're coming up with designs for your houses, remember, most of them are going to start with a rectangle or a square. Add some fun details to the sides and some interesting roofs to help your haunted house come together. Your house roofs can be triangles or they can be parallelograms. It's really going to be your choice. Don't forget about adding some towers or maybe some chimneys on the top to bring some interest to your work of art. Our next step is windows. This is step number 2. How many windows are you going to use? Are you going to fill them in white or yellow or let them see through to the sky behind? You can make windows that are simple with a straight line at the bottom and an arch around the top. You can always add some straight lines to make window panes. Even a couple of diagonal lines will help it look like there's some shine on the window. You can use windows that are rectangles too. They can be left open, or you can add some lines down the center and across to help it look like there's window panes. Maybe adding a letter R forwards and backwards for some window drapes. You can even make a circle window. With a circle window, you can make a letter T directly in the center for your window panes. Get a little crazy and think about adding in some cracks on your windows, just for some detail. Let's see how many other window designs I can come up with. As you're coming up with your window designs, think about adding extra lines in the middle. Think about boarding up some of your windows. What about adding a border around your window, or maybe some spooky eyes looking out of your window? You can add shutters on your window, maybe some that are falling off or some that are staying on. But the way you decorate and detail your windows is really going to be up to you. Do you want to add some with a triangle roof, a curved roof? What are you going to add to your windows? Doors are step number 3. How are you going to enter into your haunted house? Let's look at some cool door ideas before we get started. So you can make a door just like your windows, straight line at the bottom, curved line at the top. Maybe you want to add some straight lines on there to fill in with some wood grain. Don't forget to add a doorknob. Just like windows, you can make your doors any way you want. You can make them uneven with a frame around. You can make simple squares. You can make doors that look like they're open by just filling in the space around them. You can add windows to your doors. You can add spooky eyes looking out of your doors. There are so many different ways to make doors, just like there are ways to make windows. Let's check out some of these cool ways to make doors, and then you decide what type of door you're going to add to your picture. Is it going to be a door with a double door, maybe where you draw a line down the middle and 2 doorknobs? Is it going to be boarded up with some wood saying, "Keep out, beware"? Is there going to be any interesting details in the windows? What are your doors going to look like? Let's talk about what you're going to put in your sky. Skies are one of my favorite parts of haunted houses because so many things can be up there. You know, you can start by having a simple moon in your sky, maybe some clouds or some stars. But there's several different ways of making moons. You can make a partial moon, or you can make a whole moon. It's your choice. You can make fluffy, bluffy clouds, or you can make super thin, skinny clouds. Your clouds can go over your moon or around your moon. You can make stars by drawing the star shape or even by adding simple polka dots around your area. If you choose to make a bat, I like to make 2 curved lines that go together and then a couple of little scallops that go towards the center on the bottom. You can even add 2 little pointy ears at the top and fill your whole bat in black. You can add details to your moon like craters and bumps. You can even add a ghost flying in your sky. What type of things can you think about of adding to your sky in your haunted house picture? Step 5 is your house details. Is your house going to be a brick house? Is it going to have some siding on it? What are the details that your house is going to tell? You can add scallop lines, which are little U's that are connected over and over and over again, to your roof or to the side of your house for siding. You can go in and you can add some bricks by making some straight lines with some rectangles. There's a couple different ways to make bricks. This is just one of your options. Adding little straight lines down and lines over. You could also just make some rectangles and put them randomly around your house. Those choices are yours. By starting with a rectangle and adding 2 lines that go inwards, and then adding another rectangle, you are going to get what looks like stairs. So it's a pretty easy process. It's a rectangle, 2 lines that lean in towards each other, and a rectangle on top. And then you have some stairs that can go into your house. I like to shade the rectangles that are real rectangles so that it looks like that's the front of my step. What kind of details can you add to your house? Maybe you want to add a gate or a fence. You can add some details on the top of those things with just little triangles or even dots. You can make a straight line through your fence, or you can even use a scalloped line to have it look like chains. By making some simple rectangles as well as some horizontal lines, you can create a fence for your front yard as well. Feel free to make these fences broken or even uneven. A chimney at the top, or even at the top of one of your towers with some smoke coming out, would be a fun detail as well. It is time for the final details. This is where we get to have some serious fun. There are so many things you can add to your painting. You don't just have to pick out what I'm telling you. You can go and look at other haunted houses and come up with your own ideas. For example, you can always throw in a pair of spooky eyes. Spider webs are always fun, whether they come from the corner or whether they fill in an entire space. You can use spider webs to add details to just about any picture. But remember, if you're going to add a spider web, you can also add a spider. Don't forget, those guys have 8 legs and not 6 legs. So when you draw your little spider detail, make sure you give him the right number of legs. You can add some candy corn along your pathway if you're having a fun haunted house. Even some pumpkins in all different shapes and sizes. Adding a couple of curved lines adds a lot of details to those pumpkins. Maybe you want to add a cauldron full of bubbly potion from your witch's brew. You can light a fire underneath this cauldron, even add a witch or two around it. Now, if you want to be a little creepy, you can totally put in some stone heads, maybe like in a graveyard. A couple of spooky trees are a great addition as well. I like to make my trees using the letter Y. I can add lots of letter Ys around my trees to kind of add some details to them. If you don't want a spooky tree, you can always make a curvy tree for a little bit more of a fun haunted house. Cautionary signs that say beware or do not enter are always fun to add into a haunted house picture. Don't forget to add some greenery, maybe some tall bushes around your house to add a little bit more fun to it. I can't wait to see what you guys add to your haunted house. Maybe you love black cats. Put a couple of those guys in there too. Nothing says Halloween or haunted house quite like a black cat. As we're finishing and you're seeing me do 2 of my complete paintings, I want to remind you that the only way I get to see what you're painting is if you post it on our Facebook page, Painting with a Purpose. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Painting with a Purpose. And remember, sign your artwork so that you know who made it always. Like I always tell you, stay kind, stay creative, and stay safe. Thank you so much for painting with me today. I can't wait to see what you post on our page. Have a great day, creative friends. Bye now.